Are you staring at a mountain of laundry, just waiting to be folded and just can't find the energy to start? Let's tackle it together. Turn this on, grab your basket, and let's fold side by side. I promise you'll feel accomplished in no time. Happy folding. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this table wiped down because, you know, cats and their little toe beans are dirty. So I'm going to wipe down the table and then we will get started folding laundry. Don't let that mountain of laundry sit there and stare at you for another day, another hour, or another minute. Let's get it folded together. When I was a little girl, not very many people in our family owned washers and dryers. In fact, I think my aunt was one of the only ones when I was really young, like 4 or 5 years old, that owned a washer. And she hung all of her wash outside. So everyone else in the family would go to the laundromat that was a local laundromat. And while most kids would probably not be too enthused about it, I always thought that it was great fun. They had the laundry carts to play around with, and my aunt would push me around in them, and there was always the soda machine and getting detergent or fabric softener out of the dispenser and just all stuff like that. And I remember my grandmother was putting some of her laundry in because it was a whole family affair. Everybody would meet up and go to the laundromat and get their laundry done. And my grandmother dropped a quarter under the machine. And she told me, she said, oh, go get a piece of paper and fold it up and just see if you can swoop it out from under the machine so I don't lose my quarter. So it was late. It was probably an hour or so before the laundromat closed. And the only people in the laundromat was our family. So little 4 or 5-year-old me ran down to the trash, got a piece of, longish paper and folded it over to make sort of a stick so I could stick it under the machine and swoop out her quarter, hopefully. So I ran back and I pushed it under there and I swooped it out, and out came probably $1 of quarters. And I was ecstatic. I was rich. And she said, oh, well, give me back my quarter and you ought to go along and see how many quarters you can find. So I went under each and every machine, and every time I went under a machine, there was at least 50 cents worth of quarters. And so I found a whole great big pocket full of change. So that was a pretty exciting time in my 5-year-old life, to go do laundry and to find tons and tons of money, at least to a 5-year-old, and be able to get soda and candy out of the vending machines because, usually it was one or the other. And I believe I was able to turn my change in, and I ended up getting a toy the next day. So it was a pretty good day. The funny thing is from that point on, never again did I find that amount of change under those washers and dryers. So I'm thinking that change must have accumulated for quite some years. So I'm going to share some random facts about myself, and in the comments below, if you so choose, share some about yourself too. I figured it would be kind of fun. So here we go. As a child, a younger child, up until I was 12, I was never made to do any chores by my mother, and I was made to do some by my father until they got divorced. When I was 12, I moved out to Arizona to be with my dad and my new stepmom, and I did dishes and helped babysit my sister and stuff like that. So I had two very separate, distinct type of lives. With that said, my kids have all been made to do some amount of chores. I don't just let them slack off and sit around. I have never broken any bones. I have never been stung by a bee or bitten by any type of insect, even though all summer long I walk around completely barefoot, even through patches of flowers. As a child, I was extremely fearful of bees and hornets, and as an adult, I am not. In fact, if I find a bee or a hornet in the house, I will catch it in a glass and let it go outside. Same thing with spiders. For a couple of years, we had a window spider in the kitchen. Her name was Gloria, and she lived under the corner of my window and would come out when I was doing dishes to watch me do dishes and then climb back underneath the windowsill. And we let her stay there until she passed away. When we lived in the big house in Bucksport, we had a lot of animals. We had 2 goats, we had a bunch of chickens, and we had 4 ducks. Coming into the wintertime, it was getting colder, and during the day, everything would sort of melt a little bit. Well, we had a big puddle down at the end of our driveway that had melted, and our ducks had gone out of the barn, and they were splashing around in the puddle. And a while later, my son came running in. He goes, Mom, the ducks are stuck. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The ducks are stuck? Stuck where? And he goes, come out and look. So I go out and look, and there is every single duck we have frozen into the puddle. They stood there while the puddle froze around their feet and they couldn't move. So I had my son go in and get pitchers of warm water and poured it over their feet, over the puddle where their feet were, so that we could get them out of there and put them and close them into the barn. But I never in my life had experienced seeing an animal stand somewhere long enough to become frozen in place. Then in that same house, we were painting the living room. And without thinking, we had pulled the couch out some and left it out. And later on, my husband said, where are the puppies? And I said, I don't know. I haven't seen them in a while. And he starts calling to them, and we hear this very low, slight bark. And I'm like, where the heck are they? I can hear them. And he goes, I don't know. And the kids go, Mom, look. And they had pulled out the couch, and we had forgotten that the register had been pulled out of a heating vent, the cover for it. And they both had fallen down into the basement. Thankfully, it wasn't a very far fall. And they were both running around in the basement barking. And, just foolish stuff. I mean, who'd have thunk they would have both fallen in the basement together? Many of you would be quite surprised if you met me in person, because I am very shy. I have been shy my entire life, and in fact, it's probably quite shocking to all my parents that I actually have a YouTube channel, and I talk to people online that don't know me, in person. And because that is something that I would have never, ever been able to do growing up. In fact, if there was any kind of a speaking event at school or anything like that, you would bet I was going to be sick that day. When it comes to boots, like winter fashion boots and sneakers, your girl has a problem. I love to buy fashion boots, like the mucklucks and the bear paws and just boots like that, the comfy, cozy boots. In fact, my slippers that you often see me wearing are made by bear paws. At one time, me buying sneakers was a pretty big deal, but that has really slowed down. I have a few comfy pair that I kick around in, and then I have like 4 nicer pair that I wear when I go out, and I have, I think, 1 or 2 pairs that are in my closet that I haven't even worn yet. And I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of boots that I haven't worn yet. No, 5, because I just bought another pair of boots. But yeah, I love to buy boots and sneakers. My kids are always very shocked, and so are a lot of other people, when I tell them that I am not a huge fan of listening to music. I'm certainly not a fan of listening to loud music. I will listen to Christmas songs around Christmas time. Here and there, I have 1 or 2 favorite artists that I listen to occasionally, But when I'm cleaning, I will generally turn on the TV just for background noise, and it generally has to be somebody talking. I do not really clean to music, and never really have. Once in a blue moon I will, but it's not very often. The most music I listen to is when I do my Zumba game with Bella, and then I will listen to the music on that, of course. I do not have any favorite type of music, and if I were to choose to listen to some type of music, it would probably be classical, or I've even listened to opera. And I also like jazz, as you might be able to tell by the background music in most of my videos these days. I figured nobody would like it, and then I said to myself, you know what, self, I like it. So that's what I started using. Everywhere I've ever lived, I have tried to go with a color scheme in my kitchen. And everywhere I've ever lived, the color scheme turns into a rainbow of colors. If you notice, there's no real color scheme in my kitchen. I pulled everything together with my Pioneer Woman stuff because it brings all the colors that I love into the items that kind of go with all that they're pulling in colors from every direction. I don't really have a favorite color, though I do have a lot of things that are pink, and if I'm buying something for myself, it's probably going to be pink. But I am actually the kind of person who loves every color, except the exception of you probably wouldn't find me wearing very much brown or bright yellow. Other than that, I do really not have a very favorite color. It just depends on what the color is being used for. So something I've been thinking about quite a lot, and I've actually wanted to try it. And I know there are tons and tons of recipes out there, but I'm really looking for something that is tried and true. And I want to make laundry soap. And I do not know if I want to make powdered or if I want to make liquid, but I want something that is going to work and something that's not going to mess up my machine, because my machine is HE, and as you know, HE machines cannot have tons of bubbles in them. So I want to try to make laundry soap. Not just because it saves money, but I would kind of know what's going into it. And just really to see if I can do it and if I like it and what it smells like and so forth. So if you have a tried and true laundry soap recipe that you could point me to or share with me, I would love it if you would do so. And another thing is, if you have had good or bad experiences with homemade laundry soap, let me know in the comments what those experiences were. And I actually had forgotten to update you guys. Whatever brought on the hubby's hives, as quickly as it came, it suddenly went away. He hasn't had hives in, I'm going to say, about a month. So whatever was causing them, we have no idea and probably never will. But whatever was causing them seems to have disappeared. For those of you that bake during the holidays, what type of things do you bake? I'm looking for ideas on what can be made. The obvious, I know a lot of people make sugar cookies and things like that, and I actually got my cookbooks that hubby ordered for me, and I'm going to be looking through those. We used to make some that looked like candy canes, but to be honest with you, they never tasted all that great. I think the kids just like them because they like to leave them out for Santa. But let me know what type of cookies or holiday desserts you like to make for the holidays to have around the house for when guests show up or for a night of watching Christmas movies and things like that. And speaking of Christmas movies, do you have a favorite holiday movie? And if you do, what is it? My most recent favorite is Surviving Christmas. I think I've mentioned this before, with James Gandolfini. And also I like Christmas with the Cranks. I've always found that to be quite funny. And my very favorite is A Christmas Story. And I apologize, Lulu hears things outside or upstairs, and she thinks that she needs to bark at every little slight noise that she hears. I also know I have been promising that I will get up in my room and we will get my new sheets on my bed and my new quilt, and I also need to show you Trevor's as well, and I am thinking that we will be doing that tomorrow. And I'm also loosely thinking that either tomorrow or the next day we will be putting up our Christmas tree, and I will make sure that you guys are involved in that. I was actually thinking, not promising, but I might actually do a live while we set up our Christmas tree, just for the fun of it. So I will let you know what direction we are heading with that when we get to that particular day, because like I said, I am not sure, and I do want to make sure that it's going to be one of the days that my house is fairly quiet. So I'm just going to see how things play out, and if not, you will get a video of us setting up the tree. Either way, I would like to do it live, but I just don't know how that's going to play out yet. I will let you guys know. I have to tell you guys something that I thought or think is rather cute. The last time that I cleaned Bella's room was just before I got my second wand vac. And I used my other cordless vacuum, my cordless shark, to vacuum her room. And I left the vacuum in there without thinking. I just completely forgot about it, because the next day my other vacuum came and I set it up, and that was that. And I noticed recently that I've heard a lot of vacuuming every night, and I realized that what it is she is using the vacuum that I left in there because she assumed it was hers, and she has been vacuuming and wiping down her room and picking it up every single night, and I am so proud of her. So I told her tonight, the vacuum's yours, you keep it, and you keep it to keep your room clean, and she was so excited about that. We have come to the end of another video. Thank you for watching. I hope that you got lots of folding done. And as always, happy cleaning. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.